Greetings and welcome to Conversation with Tony Mobley. We also want to say welcome to Z98.1FM.com, our audience in Cincinnati, Ohio. Apologies. Can you guys hear me? It looked like I froze for a second. Okay, apologies, everyone. Welcome to Conversation with Tony Mobley. Welcome Z98.1 FM. Our audience in Cincinnati, Ohio can also be heard in TuneIn Radio and the Internet Radio. Today, we have a repeat. That's right, we have a repeat. We have my friend, Michael D Jenkins, the artist known as Triumphant. He is back, and we're going to have another conversation. He's going to share some poetry and some music, and we're going to have a great time tonight. So those of you who are listening on the radio, Michael D. Jenkins, Triumphant, the artist, was on with us on episode 47 of Conversation with Tony Mobley. So if you have an opportunity, we encourage you to go and watch at conversationwithtonymobley.com or on YouTube, episode 47, where you can see that conversation that we had. Also, we want to reference the Triumphant website, and that's thetriumphant1.com. Again, thetriumphant1.com. Thank you, sir, for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, sir. This is episode 63 of Conversation with Tony Mobley. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of the journey. Again, welcome Z98FM.com, our audience in Cincinnati, Ohio, and also to be heard on TuneIn Radio app and the Internet Radio. Real conversations with real people. Why are we here? We're here because life has provided me the opportunity to have real conversation with real people. First, I want to thank my siblings for our conversation last week. It was a fun time to be had by all. Thank you, family, for being with me last week, episode 62. And I want to again thank the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for all of your hard work. And so here I go again with I Need Your Help. And I really, truly need your help tonight. We don't have a lot of questions for Michael Jenkins, Triumphant, tonight. We are depending on you to ask questions of Triumphant. Otherwise, the two of us would just have a conversation, and you guys won't get your questions asked. So go to conversationwithtonymobley.com and go and click on, after you register, participate in the Mukana chat. Why do I want you to participate in the Mukana chat? Well, you have an opportunity to vote your questions up and down. You ask your questions, then they can be voted on. They can be voted up and down. And so go to the website for Conversation with Tony Mobley. If you like this and past conversations, we ask that you like and subscribe and set that bell to all the notifications of upcoming conversations. And so the very first question tonight is going to be, who are you since our last conversation?
Who am I? My goodness. I am more easily Googled. I am over 2,000 plus views on YouTube. I am more energized than ever to create. I am TikTok-able now. I am performing way more than I ever had live in a stage on a concert hall without any walls, thanks to you, Tony. I have been quite productive, but it also comes with a cost, and that cost is fuel, energy. Sometimes you forget how much energy it takes to do these performances, to write as much as a person like me writes, and how exhausting it can be, but also how much you can run on E when you're doing something that you love. You forget to replenish. I am all of those things, but again, as my slogan goes, you are, I am, and you are triumphant. I know that since that last conversation that we had, there's a lot of people who are listening who I believe are triumphant as well, that have gone through some changes, have gone through some upgrades, have gone through some things that they can consider triumphant. And that makes the idea of being triumphant that much bigger, because now I know what those numbers are, and they keep growing, and they help me to show more of everyone and how triumphant they are. I'll explain more about that later, but yeah.
Well, I am so happy that you're able to be with me tonight, and um, I'm looking forward to you sharing your journey since our last conversation. You and I have been
Mhm.
engaging in a lot of different conversations
Oh, it's been
since
seamless.
since since you were last on episode 40 47. We are on episode 40 63 now,
Yeah, yeah.
and you have also participated with me in the house of worship um, services that I participate on Thursday and Sundays, and I appreciate your support there. And the Miracle Bible Way family of Macon, Georgia, has adopted you as part of their family as well.
Means
And
a lot to me, and it's actually brought me out of some of those obstacles that I've been enduring. You know, if it were not for some of those Wednesdays, those Thursday nights, between looking at this show, these conversations that you have with other amazing people, and those Bible studies and those church services, I tell you, man, I don't know if I'd make it in the same way that I have. I am truly blessed to have Miracle Bible Way take me under their wing. Uh, Feels truly like family. It really, really does.
well, thank you, and I know that some of them are listening, and it's very heartfelt. So
Yeah,
tonight, without further ado, before we even go into the next question, I want to make sure that we get in as much of your artistic talent that you want to share with us. So
absolutely.
if you want to do a poem or music or whatever you want to do, we're gonna do that right now, so that our radio audience and those who are watching on YouTube get the picture of why you're back, uh, and to share what you're doing. So if you want to go ahead and share something right now, whatever you choose,
You got it.
it's
I'm ready. I'm ready, man. Here we go. This one is called The Constant Gardener. This was written yesterday.
all right.
Sow the strings of pearl, their seeds, but cast them not beside the sow. Separate the chaff from wheat, toss the stalks, winnow them now. To all things there is a season, times of sweetness, times of sorrow. Sugar keeps the bees from leaving. Tears today will reach tomorrow's through the soil breach, and this is how we teach grace and mercy over worry. Power and glory while we weep. Now, before we lie ourselves in green pastures down to sleep, we will toil till we tire. For the harvest we shall reap. Eden, Shulamite, Gethsemane, the Genesis, the end of innocence, what's left of me. This is Malachi's true talk of storehouses, the topographic topic of conversation before its conversion to this perversion. But the constant gardener, who mothers many void of any last names, will feed all babies the fat of the land. For the kingdom of heaven is still at hand. All ground is holy ground. The lightning strikes it alive. These stripes by them are healed. And I will grow a child in the way that he should go, with these roots and these truths. One, that my living is not in vain. Two, that he will not search the forest for the trees anymore. Three, that there will be no more strange fruit. Four, that he will know money doth not grow on these, but in bushels paved, as thin as slaves' blood was made, diluted for their richness. Go on about your business, I have mine, sweat of my brow and the arch in my spine. I'm the ant that'll have no grasshopper mock him. I'm a sister to all my brothers. I'm a mother to the meek and mild, who shall inherit the earth after all their disasters are gone, and the skyscrapers lose the contest of who's the sharpest to these blades of grass. All genetically modified, stand aside and witness how he will one day get his, and we will one day get ours, much the way that I got mine, fresh out the dirt from the vine. A poem for the constant gardener.
All right.
Triumphant.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wow. So immediately, my first thought was, how can I have that? So I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh
So
man, no, not at
are
all.
you considering self-publishing, or are you what
So,
what is your roadmap?
so every poem that I ever write, I have it published on my website. I have
Okay.
it on, once it's on the triumphantone.com, I have it all, my copyrights, it is all published there with help of a business known as Love is a Parable, who created the website and helps me with the publishing. However, I will say there's another layer to how you can get that.
Okay.
Here's the layer. On TikTok, the origin of this poem was a poem that I wrote for someone else who answered to the challenge that I place on TikTok. As of this day, I am the only poet on that social media platform that does custom poetry to any individual who watches a certain video and follows certain rules. On my TikTok, in my bio, there is a pinned video called hashtag 24 hours. It literally flashes in white words in a black background. It will give you rules. It'll tell you to give me an image of yourself and 3 words at random. And within 24 hours, I wrote you a poem just like this one. I have been doing this for the last 2.5 months, and in that time, I have 143 different videos.
Wow. That's amazing. That
So
is absolutely amazing. So
that
thank you for
said,
sharing.
I tell you what, Tony, give me 3 words and give me 24 hours. And I got you something that somebody else will say, How can I have that?
All right. Do you want them now?
Yes. Listen. Now as a minister and also a poet, I always have my sword on me now. I have my sword and shield on me. So I'll tell you what, I want those words not now, but right now. Give them to me.
Always want to help.
Always want to help.
Always want to encourage.
Always want to. It feels weird writing in cursive these days. I always want to encourage. Got it.
Always has hope.
Always has hope. 24 hours. And that extends to anyone that is listening. If you are listening right now, if you know of a person or if you are a person that is on TikTok, if you go and search me, Triumphant Tone, TR1UMPHANTONE, one instead of an I because it's bigger than me, and you play your part in that game, in 24 hours, you'll have a poem. And I implore you, I dare the hive mind to try to exhaust me. I am in the mother lode.
All right. The challenge has been set. The gauntlet has been thrown down.
Oh, yeah.
Those of you who are in YouTube, those of you who are going to watch this later, the challenge has been set.
That's right.
And so share the website one more time.
Website, my actual website is thetriumphant1.com, but the TikTok is TikTok.com/@TR1UMPHANTONE. Remember, it's triumphant with a one instead of the I because it's bigger than me. Every poem that I have done in this fashion, you can also see on that page. So you can see the caliber of how much I care about those words, about that image of yourself, because I can prove to you that your life is a poem. Let me show it to you.
All right. Thank you, sir, for that.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to go to we're going to go to a question.
Okay.
And we sort of talked about this particular question on the last conversation with Tony Mobley, episode 47. But I want to ask it again for those who might be listening or hearing your voice for the first time. Okay. So let's talk about your early childhood in the city of Detroit.
I was born without speech. As eloquently as people have told me my voice sounds now, I was born without speech. I did not speak until I was 5 years old. I was thought of as a person who might have been deaf, who might have had learning disabilities, and somewhere along the lines, along with the other pile of those who were diagnosed in some ways incorrectly, I was diagnosed as autistic. But this was before they actually explained what the spectrum was. It was just either you were normal or you were not. In 1980s, they knew nothing like what they know now about autism, for they have learned that all of us are on the spectrum in some way. However, back then, When they told my mother that I would be in special education for my entire life and would be questionable as to whether or not I'd be able to contribute to society adequately, she clasped her cross and said, I take everything that you say, but I'm going to prove you wrong. The first lesson that I ever learned was how to prove people wrong. My mother is the reason why I'm able to speak today, not any other school system. It was my mother who bought a Hooked on Phonics package. If you guys remember that, I'm dating myself. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Hooked on Phonics worked for me. She bought this package and she taught me from age 4 months to 4.5 years old. And at first I wasn't getting any of it. I wasn't comprehending any of it. It made no sense to me because she was just saying it. But once she sang it, once she gave it song, once she made a chorus of my name, of her title as mother, of my father's title as papa, of my address, of words that I shouldn't even know at that age, that she would spell out in song, then it made sense. It connected to some part of my brain, and it made sense because she was making magic to me. And I love magic. I love the music. I love the art. And my artistic mind turned this autist into an artist. And that led me to being in kindergarten, a week later being told he needs to be promoted. I would be the only 5-year-old child in the second grade. She refused, said, no, you're going to eat this. And he is going to excel and you're going to deal with it. By the time I was in the 4th grade, I was reading at the 9th grade level. Let me give you a little example of what I mean by that. The Great Gatsby is given to high school students. However, my principal at the time made it his business to test the waters. And he gave me The Great Gatsby. I was 9 years old. And while having my parents in front of me, told me to read. Not only did I read it in a way that sounded as if I was a high school student. Now for scale, your local newspaper is read and written by the Associated Press at the 5th grade level. So I was thought of as your idiot savant, a genius of sorts. And trouble came with that as well into my teenage years, the bullying and all of these things. But what it taught me was, if I can prove doctors wrong, if I can prove teachers wrong, if I can prove parents wrong, if I can prove those supposed bullies wrong, I can prove myself wrong every day and say, I can do a little bit better. I can be a little bit tougher. I can take a little bit more. And I did. Now, this is just Detroit, but my goodness, all the places that I have been after, 9 states in 20 years of my life. I have been everywhere from the dirtiest of the dirty South to having California love and NoCal and SoCal to being homeless, streets of New York. On the brink of self-extinction, to find love over a telephone, to finding my way back to being me. See, triumphant sounds great. You hear it cliche, the triumphant return of thus and such, but what they don't understand is the definition of triumphant. It's not something that is haughty or proud. It is something that survives off the skin of his teeth. You barely make it. I barely made it, man. But I made it.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's time for some more
You got it.
poetry or
I
music
am
or whatever you want to do.
I am definitely ready. This one, talk a little bit more about fundamentals. You know, we hear reading is fundamental, right? Well, I have a deeper definition of that. This
All
is
right.
dedicated to my mother.
All right.
Mama used to read me Ebony and Essence magazines as if they were children's stories. Why? Because we got enough deadbeats and narcissists on the planet to give any mental jurisdiction to a dick. And Jane ain't got nothing on Janet. Yeah. My mama. She said what she said. And comics, you know, not the funny ones, but the ones with superheroes, yeah, those. My Hero Academia was the Encyclopedia Britannica. It taught me that Frederick Douglass was a black Republican. Anime was my anime. Man, you should have read the manga. Has her not as a slave, but as a queen like Nefertiti, dripping into indigo and Nipsey blues, crowned thornlessly with means, adorned with jade and onyx, before the Coptics copped it, and several severed the head to keep those behind memoirs like My Soul Looks Back, Soul on Ice, The Color of Water, A Taste of Power, Hunger, The Cooking Gene, and The Alchemy of Race and Rights. She signed brilliance so much more than ordinary light in order to redefine realness. But what she didn't realize was that it all would make me that much more of a unicorn than existence would ever persist with. As a lactose intolerant, I wasn't baby fed the same daily bread as my brethren, that cereal, that milk. Instead, she would comb the hairs on my head while I scried into heiresses to thrones, as she sang the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s to me like gospel hymns until the letters made sense, made syllables, made words, made sentences, made paragraphs, made chapters, made books, made libraries, made archives, made... You get the picture, man. Honey, let's just say I see the stories in their eyes, and I know how to read.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. That one was dedicated to mom.
Yes, dedicated to my mother and exactly what she was doing with how she taught me how to read and write. Any and every book, every newspaper, anything that I can get my hands on, she would sing it to me. She made songs out of it, and that made sense.
Michael, what's your mom's name?
My mom's name is Barbara Jenkins. Everybody used to call her Jeannie though, because her middle name was Jean Thomas. And I tell you what, she granted a wish that I didn't even know I made. That one day I'd be more than just merely understood. I'd be embraced by people who feel that I am an inspiration to them.
Wow. Let's speak her name. Barbara
Barbara
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Barbara Jenkins.
That's right.
Thank you, Barbara Jenkins. Thank you, Barbara Jenkins, for sharing your son with us. We have a question from Taylor Sunderhouse of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Mhm.
As someone who was diagnosed with a learning disability when I was in the 4th grade, my mother was powerful too. Because of my mom, I am a successful man today. Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you, Taylor, for sharing that with us.
that means everything. That means everything. And that is exactly why I'm so transparent with the story that I have to share. I share to any and everyone. There's so many people that are indeed just as triumphant as I am. That's the reason why I say it the way I do. But sometimes they don't feel like they're triumphant enough to get on this microphone, that their story is not going to be as significant. But let me tell you this. Let me be the first hand clap and the standing ovation that you deserve. Let me be the first person that says, "Mic check 1 2 1 2" before I pass it on to you. My gosh, I think I'm actually writing a poem right now talking to you, because it means that much. We need those words. We need that. I need that. Not as in the letter I and NEED, the word I as in KNEAD. There are tears that come here with stories like that. And there's somebody out here, there's somebody that is listening to this right now that can't wait to just scream out that they've made it too. We're giving them permission to do that right here, right now. They can listen to this and say, you know what? Next time it's going to be my turn. Next time, this time, it's going to be my turn. On my terms, I'm going to tell the world that I made it. And it's going to matter to so many people who are just so, I won't say afraid, I'll say careful. They're careful. So careful, in fact, that they're stopped themselves from sharing themselves to us. Let's break those boundaries tonight. Anyone who's listening, I want you to scream out how you made it. There is no learning disabilities here. These are superpowers that are misunderstood. Because I have yet to find anyone that had Down syndrome that was not understood as an extraordinary loving person. That there is not a person who has been diagnosed as autistic that was nonverbal, that I didn't feel with their emotions more than any jargon on any television show and any political debates. The genius that comes from the visualization of a person who is defined by those things. I implore those who are listening right now, if you know a person who is given a certain learning disability, give them a piece of paper and some crayons and watch them draw. You'll watch a Picasso before your very eyes form from their hands. I can guarantee you. To the nonverbals, I hear you. To those who have been diagnosed with any disability, put your cape on and know that I see you as superheroes, because you're going to show the world how to love itself better, one person at a time, because we don't want to be normal. We live in a world right now where we don't even know what normal is. Somebody tell me what normal is. We, for almost 3 years, was in complete seclusion of ourselves that completely shut the world down. Businesses have been shut down because of not being able to keep the brick and mortar up with people within it due to social distancing, as if anything needed to be any less social, having enforced by law. And we're trying to come out of that. And I'm telling you, the most expressive people that I have ever met in this life are people with those superpowers. So let's unite, let's shout it all out. We need to break out of this normalcy. Let's see some crazy.
Wow. As a person who has had the opportunity to teach low functioning students in high school autism, I hear you loud and clear. I understand exactly what you're saying. It's an amazing journey. I want to say to Taylor Sunderhouse, thank you so much for being transparent and being willing to share that. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
And before we go to the next question from Laura Thompson, I want you to share again your TikTok information and the gauntlet that you've thrown down.
You got it. Okay. Triumphant Tone, TikTok.com/@TR1UMPHANTONE. You search that. On the bio, you will find a pinned video that's going to flash. Hashtag 24 hours. You click that video, you follow the rules of that video, which is going to ask you to send me a picture of yourself or your artwork and 3 words or more at random and within 24 hours. If you follow the rules now, you got to follow the rules. If you follow the rules within 24 hours, you'll receive a poem. Now, I will tell you about the other layers of that though. Once I perform the poem live on TikTok, I'm going to implore you to duet me, which we'll do a side-by-side with your blind reaction to the poem. And then I'll be able to share the blind reactions on my page to the world because they need to see not just what I said, but how you felt it is just as important.
Okay. So I guess that means that I'm going to be on TikToks real soon.
Now I gotta ask you though, are you on TikTok now? Before now?
I do have a TikTok account. I've never done any broadcasting on TikTok or anything like that. I just watch content.
Well, I'll say this: the change in TikTok has been phenomenal. So they're changing the algorithm to the point now it's not.
Okay, you froze for a minute. Now I'm hoping that's just me.
Give
Are
me
you back?
just a moment. I think I'm connected back now. Can you see me now?
I can see you and hear you.
Good. Sorry about that. That was on me, but no worries. Here I go.
Okay.
Now, TikTok has changed dramatically. Now they're trying to compete with YouTube. You are now allowed as a creator to put up to 10 minutes videos on TikTok. Now,
Okay.
back in the day, it was only 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. And that's just enough to, repeat some lyrics of some song, try to lip sync and twerk. I'm not a twerker. I don't know about y'all, but I don't twerk. But I do my words. And I am on TikTok literally every night, submitting these 24 hours poems and true interaction with people who are in love with poetry. So yeah, it is true. It's truly changing the way I perform, the way I believe most creators should even look at that social media platform. It should be thought of now as a real, true, serious approach towards performing your craft, showing your craft to people, because it wants to be taken that serious. So take advantage of that. I remember Mr. Flylock Waterman was asking in our first conversation with you, Tony Mobley, if I've ever hear music when performing. Well, guess what you can do on TikTok? All of my poems are set to music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing.
Mhm.
We're gonna go to we're gonna come back to that.
Okay.
let's get to Laura's question. Let's see. Um, how do you learn to carry a message as someone who has a message that can help others? What advice would you give me to carry my message further?
Say it louder. Just be loud with your message. It does not even matter what your message is. Be loud. Now, here's the problem though. Most of us are extrovertedly introverts. We don't want limelight. We don't want center stage. We want to be maybe a not so silent partner in something to cheer someone on song. That simply will not do in this day and age because now everyone has a voice. So if everyone has a voice and everyone is portraying that voice as loud as they possibly can, even if they are saying utter nonsense, that cannot help anyone, and you'll be drowned out. One of the things that I've learned, even with my website, is yes, the website is great for reading these poems. However, to really truly feel it, they have to hear me. I don't care where it is. Be heard. Get on every social media platform, and for absolutely every reason and no reason at all, scream your story to the top of your lungs. And I guarantee you, eventually, the right people will hear you and they'll want more of you. And they will congratulate you because even though you might not have said it as eloquently as they thought they would dream it to be, somebody said it first. And that gives permission, that opens up the floodgates for everybody else to say, oh, I feel exactly the same way you do. And that's how families are made. And if you logistically would like any help in doing that, I'll be more than happy, more than willing to promote your voice to be heard, no matter what your story is, because it deserves to be heard.
Thank you for that. I also want to thank Laura for the question, and also want to thank her for being on with me 2 weeks ago to share her story. It was an amazing story that she shared, and as we were talking in the pre-show, I know that that conversation helped someone, encouraged someone. So thank you, Laura, for your question, and also for your courage to share your story. And so the last thing I would say to you is that you've already won the battle in that you are fearless in your desire to share your story and to encourage others. So um, as Triumphant has said, share it, share it, share it. We have a question from YouTube, and the question is from Harshad, Harshid, Harshid. Harshid is my friend from Central Florida. The question is, what does the word accessibility mean to you? People I know seem are afraid of the word. Is that TikTok? You, oh, thank you. Thank you for describing the background with flashing fonts for the audio. And I'll share this, and I don't think that he would mind. He is visually impaired, and I want to say that the way the question looks, it looks like he probably voiced it. And so I want to say thank you so much for sharing your question. Um, so Michael, what's your answer?
Accessibility to me is not a handicap. It's an obstacle, yes, but it's not a handicap. And even then, with that obstacle, there is superpower within it. You are a person who, according to Tony Mobley, has vision impairment. And scientifically, it has been proven that those that have had one sense diminished has the other senses heightened. So dare I say it, I would focus on the dynamic range of how you hear and feel things, and not see just the visual impairment that people would like to say, well, this is what causes you to need certain accessibilities. I would say that you have superlative hearing and you can feel deeper than most mere men. It's important that when you are speaking up, that you do find every venue of accessibility to make that happen. Yes, TikTok can be a very visual thing, but me using music and my words is all about being heard and felt. When it comes to things like you being heard in the same way, you being felt in the same way, even if it's a person that cannot hear, can feel the emotion in watching a person through their facial expressions, can feel that. I think the deepest sense that anyone could ever have, despite taste, or touch, or sight, is feeling. If you can feel, then that makes you more human than most humans, because there are people who are suffering from not being able to feel. We call that depression. We call that anxiety. We call that dissociative disorders, because they can't feel. I am grateful that you are here, regardless if you can see, you can feel. Now that's just poetry. Now don't let me get started on ministry. I'm not going to take my robe from up there and tell you about faith. I'm not going to do that. I might ask for that to be a different show with my family. But in all things, just pay attention to how much you can feel. And if people can feel you, whether they can see you or not, whether they can touch or taste you or not, if they can feel you, then that is all you need. That's all you need.
I just want to add that Harshid is an exceptional person. He is a participant daily on office hours. He sounds and looks as good as anybody that's on the panel. And I think he asked the question in part to contribute to the conversation because he's an exceptional person who is able to do anything that he wants to do.
Mhm.
So I
You
thank you.
prove people wrong. I like you already.
So thank you so much for for asking the question.
Yeah.
And I think it's time for some more sharing if you choose to.
Oh, yes, I am definitely ready. And I know exactly what I want to say. What the stars tell their sons. My father used to tell me there are storms on the sun's mind each morning, and on the eve of destruction, atoms bomb. They splash over water and ripple about our reflections. The wrinkles mean we've yet to go in the dryer. I used to ask him why he'd bother, and what he said still compels me. It wasn't my war, it was yours. My slap to senses, your heart beating, your cry reminded me to breathe. Your wiggling limbs, they taught me how to swim. As clear as night, your fighting purpose conquered my desire. What the stars tell their sun.
Wow. I'm just turned into a straight up crybaby. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, I'll tell you what, believe it or not, I have to recite these multiple times to make sure that I don't cry while I'm reciting them. That's how much I know that they're felt by people. It takes a lot to create. It is literally your baby. It is your child. And it's a delicate process. It's intricate process. But once it's born, no matter how it may seem, no matter how imperfect it might be, you are proud of your baby. I need a good 100,000 people listening right now to be proud of their baby right now. Whatever it is that you're creating, whatever it is that you are dreaming, and you wake up out of that dream and that dream becomes a blueprint, and that blueprint becomes something that you are actually putting a call to action to, I need you to be proud of your baby. Raise that child so that we can bring forth generations of more creations. What the stars tell their sons has a meaning to it that most people don't get from the poem. So I'll explain it. Stars, scientifically, are already gone, long gone before we see them, because of the space-time continuum and how light has to take so much time to get to us. By the time we see them, they're already dead. They're already gone. They are galaxies away. But the sun is constant. It's always here. You are always here with us. And our fathers, those who shine more when they're gone, and we remember what they are telling us after the fact. It forces you to shine brighter. Sometimes, whether you like it or not, I implore you to take that shining, whether or not you are afraid or ready, and shine anyway. For the candle cannot complain against the darkness and the harshness. It instead emits itself and admits to itself that it is everything that we needed. It is the light, and you are that light.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And we're down to our last question, and this hour has already been spent. And I asked you this the last time you were on, and so I'm going to ask you again. You're speaking to the world. What do you want them to know?
That you are worthy, that you matter, that everything that you've made it out of deserves to be published, that everything that you're going through deserves to be turned into something beautiful, that you're beautiful, even in your struggle, even more because of your struggle. And I need you. I need you to know that I am and you are triumphant.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate the conversation that you and I have had since the last time you were on. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you. I appreciate your family for sharing you with us. Thank you so much, Michael D. Jenkins, triumphant
Thank you,
with the number one,
because it's bigger than me.
because it's bigger than you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Special thanks to Kimberly Mobley, Ron Mobley, Global Family and Friends, Alex Lindsay, Office Hour members, DVE Store, Liminal Entertainment Technologies, Byte High, Video 360, ApprovalLoan.com, Cloud Bedrock LLC, Ken Jordan, Jonas Dattel, Aaron Husledge, Sherrick Cheetah, David Brady, Marcus Lee Folk, Richard Lavery, Chris Fenwick, Manolo Lozano, Jeffrey Powers, Bo Cordell, Mickey McAture, Hazmat Gajar, Doug Moeller, Laura Thompson, Brian Shan, Dennis Champion Walker, Roscoe Jones, George Waters, Joshua Menden, Daniel Maxwell, Taylor Sunderhouse, Adrian Allback, Michael Marv, Zachary Sorensen, and Conversation with Tony Mobley producer, Clylock Miguel Lopez Waterman. Thank you all so much for your help. Conversations with Tony Mobley can be heard on 98.1fm.com. Our audience in Cincinnati, Ohio. We can also be heard through that radio station in TuneIn Radio app and on the internet radio. Special thanks to Taylor Sunderhouse and his team and the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for making this happen. And I announced this last week, and I'm going to announce it again this week. Look for our streams coming to LinkedIn Live soon. You heard what I said. Thank you, Michael D. Jenkins, triumphant, for our conversation today and for doing the work you do. TheTriumphantOne.com is his website. Conversation with Tony Mobley will continue next week. My featured guest next week is Minister Nancy Husledge, and we are revisiting dreams. So please join us next week for that great conversation that we will have. If you like this and other past conversations, we ask that you like and subscribe. And not only are we going to ask you to do that, we're going to ask you to share the word, share the events that have happened this night. If they have inspired you, share it with family and friends. We continue to have conversations with educators, mental health, filmmakers, musicians, and other creators. We have interesting conversations with interesting people. Thank you again so much. As I said, please like and subscribe and share with family and friends. We want to say good evening, take care. Look forward to seeing you next week on Conversations with Tony Mobley. Take care and good night. Bye-bye.